All right. And hello, everyone, and welcome to this gorgeous day in which we find ourselves. And I am delighted. My name is Oliver Blue, and this is my YouTube and my Facebook page where I show up as a teacher, teacher of what I call advanced spirituality, and it's not anything that special about what I do. There's nothing special about advanced spirituality. I just call it advanced because, in my experience, I find most people that are on a spiritual journey uh, pretty much are stagnant or still relying on their past learning, hold on to traditions, really have not done the investigative work themselves, really haven't done the inquiry into what they believe and why they believe it, and whether or not what they believe adds to or subtract from the quality of their life. Most of us, our spirituality basically is a reflection of someone else's belief system. Uh, if you look culturally here in the West, where I live, for the most part, it is the pattern for one to embrace their previous generations' belief systems and ideas about themselves and ideas about others and their ideas or perception about God or the Creator. And so, what we have really seen in history is just a mass passing down of traditions that really has kept us, for the most part, from evolving into the awareness of who we really truly are as these infinite beings, as these shared beings. And as this series and the title of this series refer to, that is that we are the perfect creation of love. And so our history, our lack of inquiry, our lack of doing our own work has only duplicated limited beliefs, has only duplicated more suffering, unnecessary suffering, has only prolonged fear-based theology that really don't serve anyone. But that's just the evolution of humanity. That's the evolution of man. And then now here we are in this 2024 season that is coming to an end in a few days. Here we are at the end of another year and embarking on the beginning of a new year. You know, usually in December, as I mentioned before, it's a time of reflection where we reflect upon what we have achieved, what we have accomplished, what we haven't accomplished, how far we've come from. And during this season and this time, as we've just celebrated Christmas and we're getting ready to jump off a new year and celebrate the new year coming, what we will find in our life experience is that if we continue along the same line of tradition, along the same line of thinking, along the same line of being that we have duplicated over and over, then in reality, we cannot expect any different results. We can only expect what we have already experienced. And I believe life offers more than that. I think life is more than that. I think the purpose of life, our reason for being here, is so much greater than just duplicating and replicating and repeating the same year, the same experiences over and over again, and having the same perceptions about ourselves and about each other and about our Creator. So I come here in these moments, in these chosen spots, to be a voice for what I have discovered for my own self, as a voice for what I believe that are truths that are universal, that transcend all history, that transcend time and space, that transcend the traditions of men, and it transcends a lot of the failed spirituality, a lot of the fear-based spirituality that we see that don't seem to be the solution to humanity stepping into what I have discovered in my studies, in my inquiry, in my experience, to be that we are all humanity without any exception. We are universally the creations of the one Creator. And that one Creator has a nature that is loving, that is eternal, that is timeless, that is perfect, meaning that it is whole and it is complete and it is without exception. I call it love. I like to use the word love. People get offended. Some people get offended right off the bat when you use the term God, but that's okay. I'm not here to offend anyone. I am only here to share what I know to be the truth. And that is universal in its application, that is universal in its acceptance. And I believe to be the solution to humanity's failure to experience what Jesus called the abundant life. I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. I have come that you may experience your true reality, your true nature, which is love. I have come that you may have life and that you may have it more abundantly, because true life, or the God kind of life, is an abundant life. It's an abundance of awareness. It's an abundance of unity. It's an abundance of oneness. It is an abundance of extension. It's an abundance of giving. It's an abundance of sharing. And as we look at our present day world, what we see in our present day world from a global universal perspective is a lot of chaos, a lot of separation, a lot of division, a lot of hatred, a lot of vitriol, a lot of prejudice, a lot of lack and fear and dread and unhappiness and frustration. And sprinkled in there, people have moments of joy and happiness sprinkled in there. But I believe that the abundant life is not about a sprinkling in of highs and lows. But I believe that the abundant life has to do with a knowing. It has to do with a being and a sharing of that which is real, that which is true, that which is eternal, that which is timeless and formless. and that life can be experienced, like Jesus said, from glory to glory. And that glory has to do with our expanded awareness. It has to do with us waking up and being enlightened to what is real and what is not, what is true and what is not, what is infinite and eternal and what is not. You know, the scripture says that we are to look at those things that are true, that are honest, that are of a good report. It says that also says, the scriptures also says that we are to look at the things that are not seen, right? And not at the things that are seen. Because the things, and it goes on to say that the things that are not seen, the abundant life, are eternal. Meaning they're infinite, they're always present, they're everywhere present, and they're present for everyone. And so we're to look at the things that are not seen. Jesus called it the kingdom of God, or the kingdom, which is spread out over all the world. And he said, but man don't see it. Why? Because it is not seen with the natural eye. Reality is not seen with the natural eye, but it's seen through a spiritual insight. And so in that same verse, it says, we're to look at the things that are not seen because they're eternal. And that we look not at the things that are seen, for they are temporary, meaning that they are not real, they're not eternal, they're not infinite, that they are just a temporary reflection. The things that are seen, look around you, they're all a temporary reflection of some idea or some thought that was acted on by humanity. And so we made some temporary things. We made a temporary world. Even the Course in Miracles goes as deep to say that this world is not a reality. It's not eternal. This physical experience that we're having is a temporary experience. It is not the real thing. It's not Coke, as the metaphor would suggest. And so I've started this series. If you've been with me anytime in the last 3 months, I started this series, and this is just a continuation. And I started the series because, to me personally, I have just come to the conclusion that it is the real crisis that we're facing in the world. The real crisis that humanity faces is a identity crisis or identification crisis. Simply put, we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. It's just that simple. And when we don't know, and because we don't know who we are, we don't understand our purpose. And when you don't know the purpose of a thing, as the late Miles Monroe would say, when you don't understand the purpose of a thing, ultimately you will abuse the thing. And that's what through my observation, through my spiritual insight, have come to the conclusion that because we don't understand who we are, that we have historically and presently self-deceived ourselves, we abuse ourselves, and we abuse others because of the lack of knowing who we are as the perfect creation of love. And so this is my third lesson in this series called You Are the Perfect Creation of Love. And if you have not heard that before, if this is your first time joining me, you can go back and watch the other 2 or 3 or the 500 videos that I have on my YouTube channel, where I go through 2.5 years of teaching advanced spirituality from the perspective of A Course in Miracles. And I've used the biblical principles to support what the Course is saying. And the reason I use that as a reference, it's not another religion, or I'm not inviting you to be a part of any religion or any group. I'm just simply sharing what I believe can be helpful, can be mighty helpful to awaken humanity up from self-deception, from a lack of vision, which causes unnecessary due suffering upon all humanity, which produces leaders who are unhealed in their own self, and they're leading thousands and millions of people as unhealed healers, not understanding who they are. They're leading nations, they're leading countries, they're leading organizations, they're leading movements. And they're unhealed themselves. So how can the unhealed lead their followers into a state of healing, a state of freedom? How can it be? It's impossible. Jesus says the blind will lead the blind into the proverbial ditch. So none of us should ever abdicate our responsibility to do the work, to do this inquiry, to do the study, to do the investigation, to discover what this thing is all about, to discover who we are, right? To question what we believe and why we believe it and how we believe it, and to examine whether it is adding to or subtracting away from what Jesus called the abundant life. So that means that everything is up for evaluation. And I came to that point in my life some 36 years ago, maybe longer, that everything was up for evaluation because I was in a state of fear. I was in a state of not knowing. I was in a state of separation, and it didn't feel good. It's never felt good. Fear never feels good. The sense of separation never feels good, right? To have this sense that you're separate, you're this individual made up self, that's very fearful. Don't be taken away by people who may present themselves, right, as on their own island, and being on their own island, they are happy and joyful and at peace with themselves. No. We are not an entity unto ourselves. That is not our nature. The nature of who we are is oneness. The nature of who we are is unity. The nature of who we are is love. And it's perfect, and it's whole, and it's complete. And when we are not standing in that awareness, when we're not expressing that reality, then we're hiding behind a false idea of separation. We're hiding behind some form of guilt, some form of judgment, right? Some form of condemnation. And ultimately, we will project this out from ourselves onto others in some form or fashion. And so, here we are in this third rendering in our series on You Are the Perfect Creation of Love. Now, what I will talk about today will challenge your theology. Oh, yes, it will. Some of the things I share today will challenge, will question your theology and your tradition. But what it won't do but what it will not do is communicate any level of fear or any level of separation to you. Love only unifies. Love only brings peace. Love is not a sacrifice. Ooh, that's something that I'm going to share briefly on today. Love is not a sacrifice. And this has been burned into our thinking. This has been burned into our religion. This has been burned into our culture. This has been burned into our universal thinking to such a degree that it's a cover, or it obscures the truth. It obscures the reality. It obscures the basic thing that we're looking for, which is peace. Obscurity means basically it covers up, right? It covers up the very thing that we're trying to, the very thing that we're attempting to, the very thing that we're looking for. Because the very thing that we're looking for is present. It is everywhere present. And we cover up the thing that we're looking for, the love, the joy, the peace that we're looking for, the abundant life that we're looking for. We cover it up with ideas and thoughts and beliefs that are totally opposite, that are totally antithetical to the very thing that we desire. And so, as the Course in Miracles says, love is not something that can be defined. So we're not here trying to define what love is. But we're here to be only a temporary help to remove all of the blocks that have been placed in the way, in our way of discovering love's presence, to discovering that we are the perfect creation of love. That what love is, this is what we are. This is who we are. Our goal is just to remove the blocks, because we have not successfully destroyed love. We have not successfully separated ourselves from our Creator. We have not successfully changed ourselves into something that we're not. We've merely fallen asleep and dreamed a dream of separation. And in that dream of separation, we have created our own theology, our own doctrine. We have created our own ideas, our own world. We have created our own God. And then we have attempted to live with what we've made, which has its foundation in separation, sin, guilt, and fear. Thus we see the way the movie has evolved. Thus we see the suffering. Thus we see the ups and the downs, the ins and the outs. Thus we have seen and experience the duality that we experience in this world. But what happens in dreams doesn't change reality. What happens in dreams don't change reality. You know, in the creation story that's written in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, it talks about God putting Adam to sleep. You know, it talks about it right there in Genesis that Adam was put to sleep. But it doesn't say anywhere in Scripture where Adam ever woke up from being asleep. And from that moment that Adam was asleep, we saw the evolution of Eve and then the evolution of all of humanity that was birthed out of that one creation that God created that he called Adam. So is it possible that all of the history, all of the experience of humanity has been experienced in a dream or in an illusion of separation? And that what has always been from the beginning is now and forever shall be, as Scripture says. That in reality, heaven or God or love or reality or truth, all these are different metaphors for the whole idea that that which is real remain as it was. That reality remains intact, that love remains unbroken, that God has not fallen off of the proverbial wall and broken into billions and billions of pieces. But reality remains as it's always been. And it's our goal here, and our purpose here, to wake up from the dream. Right? To awake to righteousness, as the Scripture says. So I know I'm saying a lot here, and I'm trying to decide which off-ramp I'm going to take in this session because there's so much here. I have so much here, right here, that I have prepared. There's so much here that I want to share, that in reality it'll take a couple of lifetimes for me to just share what's right here in front of me, right here. That's how certain I am about these universal truths that are timeless and formless and changeless and unalterable. That's how confident, that's how certain I am about love. That's how certain I am about the perfect creation that love is. And what love has created is, it remains intact. And what love continue to create, it creates it just like itself, with the same nature, with the same attributes, being whole and complete and infinite. So what I'm saying here is that in reality, there is no duality in reality. There is no temporary in reality. That in the grand scheme of things, there's still only the one. And because you and I are conscious, right? We are conscious. That means that our consciousness, that means that our awareness, that means our being, that means who we are, is shared with that oneness, is shared with that one and only source we call life. That whatever that is, we are that. And I have some references to talk about that. So on this part 3, you are the perfect creation of love. I think, and I share this with my community, I think that above everything else, or above anything else that can be helpful, that can be beneficial as we enter into this new year, the greatest help we can carry into the new year is the full acceptance of this reality of who we are. Laying aside all the traditions, laying aside, all of the others' ideas, laying aside all the programming and all the conditionings that we have gone through. And carrying forth into the new experience of 2025, the one reality that I know, that I believe is the real foundation of your happiness, your fulfillment, your expression, your delight, your pleasure. The one idea that we can carry, that you can carry into the new year, is the full acceptance of who you really are, is to finally settle the identity question. You remember we talked in the last message about the question that Jesus asked the disciple, who do men say that I am? Because that's the question that all of us face. And if Christ was here asking you the question, how would you answer? Well, first of all, Christ is here. Love is here. Asking you the question, who do you say that you are? It's a rhetorical question from my point of view, because the answer to the question, or the answer is in the question, or the answer can be undeniably stated as, I am the perfect creation of love. I'm the perfect creation of God. I'm God's highest creation. I am, like Jesus said, when you have seen me, you have seen the Father. I and the Father are one. He wasn't only talking about himself. He was talking about the oneness that we all share. So this is a statement that can be made by all humanity. It can be made by you. And so I'm a strong advocate for finally settling the identity question in our lives. Because until that question is finally settled eternally, irrevocably, then we will but continue to miscreate. We will only continue to not only suffer ourselves, but bring suffering to others. Even bring suffering to this planet. The scripture said that the earth travaileth for the manifestations of the Son of God. In other words, the earth is saying, I wish humanity would get itself together so I can get in alignment, so I can be at peace. Because everything in this physical world is but a reflection of the mental status of humanity. Everything reflects humanity's mentality. And around this world, you look around this world, in every industry, in every sector of this world, it is a reflection, the culture, the vibration, the results is a reflection of those that participate in those environments. More heavily influenced by the leadership. That's why we must desire leaders that are healed, leaders that know who they are, leaders that fully embrace the reality of their creation and their oneness with all humanity. Otherwise, you have leaders that are self-absorbed and so selfish and so self-centered that they will only lead the people into more pain, more destruction. They will only rob the people of their equality. So if the leader is not principle centered, if the leader is not aware of who they are, if the leader has not accepted who they are in reality and the responsibility of their sharing their equality with all humanity without any exception, we will only but repeat history over and over and over again. That's a lot to think about, I know. One of my goals is to get you to question and whether or not you want to but repeat the same thoughts, the same ideas, the same results, the same perception, the same vision that has fallen way short of the perfect creation that we are, of the wholeness and the completeness that we are. And so in the Course in Miracles, and I'll use the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. In chapter 1 on page 7, right in the middle of that page, in paragraph 3, it starts out by saying awe. You know what awe is? To awe. If you're in awe of something, right? Have you ever been in awe of something or someone, right? What does that feel like? What are you saying? What are you communicating when you are in awe of someone or something? Right? Here it says awe, which has to do with a greater or a lesser, right? A lesser acknowledges a greater. That's what awe is, right? There's something greater. When we perceive something to be greater than ourselves, we become in awe of that, right? So awe acknowledges that. So here it says awe should be reserved only for revelation. Awe should only be reserved for revelation. What is revelation? Revelation is direct communication. Direct communication from God, or direct communication that comes from love, or it's called pure presence or pure truth, or the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So all should be reserved for the truth. It should be reserved for revelation, something that is revealed to humanity, something that is revealed, that's made known, that's always been there, but now it's been made known. You're the perfect creation of love. That's a revelation. That's a revelation. That's something that the majority of us have not embraced or accepted for ourselves. So to hear this and to be confronted by this, we can be all at the idea that we are the perfect creation of love. But most of us have a problem with the word perfect or perfection. That's because of our conditioning and our misunderstanding of the word or the idea. Perfect has nothing to do with what we have been taught as what perfection is. Perfection can only be defined by perfection. And what is perfection? Perfection is completeness and wholeness that is unalterable, changeless, timeless, formless. It transcends everything here in this three-dimensional world. This three-dimensional world cannot define perfection. This three-dimensional world cannot define perfection because it is not the origin, or it's not the source, or because this world is not the author of things. Likewise, you cannot define perfection because you didn't create yourself. You're not the author of yourself. You're not the author of yourself. And so it says, all should be reserved for revelation, to which it is perfectly and correctly applicable. All is reserved for communication that is directly from love and is not filtered through any of the falsities of this life. It's not filtered to any of the limitations that we have placed upon ourselves. It's not filtered to any of the religions that we have made. It's not filtered through any of the man-made ideas that we have conjured up. But revelation is a direct communication. It's the original communication. It is the original extension. It's the original sharing of the one source. Revelation is that which is before the creation of this world. So nothing in this world can define revelation. Nothing in this world can define perfection. We have to transcend. We have to go beyond the little creation story that we've been taught and programmed with in the Bible. We have to go beyond the history books. We have to go beyond this world, beyond when this world was formed, if you want to really get to the source of things. So all should be reserved for revelation. So anything that is filtered through this human experience, through the history of the human experience, any information that is filtered through the experience of humanity, it's not revelation. It's just an outcome from an experience, a limiting experience. It's just an outcome of Adam being asleep and dreaming of something that he's not, of creating or miscreating something that he's not. And so revelation is reserved, awe is reserved for revelation. So we should never be in awe of anyone or anything. Only revelation. And revelation only comes from the author. It only comes from love. It only comes from God. And that was the original, and that is the original and remains the original way of communication. Paul wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. He said he got it through revelation, a direct message. But some of it he filtered through his own experience, and it got a little distorted by the time it got on paper. And thus we have a book that, is a little confusing. So it says, it is not appropriate that awe is not appropriate because the state of awe is worshipful. To when we the one thing that we can acknowledge that is the truth, that is true always. Here it says that it is worshipful. It is due worship. Notice now what it says. It says it is a state of awe, is worshipful, implying that one of a lesser order stands before his creator. So awe is reserved only in the presence of one's creator, only in the presence of one's source, only in the presence of one's authorship. We should not, so that means humanity should not be in awe of anything in this world or anyone in this world. He said it only should be where there is the presence of the creator, or where there is the presence of truth or reality. That's the only thing that we should be in awe at. And that only comes through revelation. It's revealed to us. It unfolds to us. That's why doing and participating in self-inquiry. That's why participating in asking the question, who am I? Knowing thyself is so important because it comes through revelation. You never ask the thing what it is, but you ask the author or the maker of the thing what it is. And we are only in awe. We should only be in awe at the revelation and not at another thing or another person. And notice what he says here, which is where I'm trying to get. It says, implying that one of a lesser order stands before his creator. Revelation is the creator. It's a symbolic of the creator. And that's the only time that there should be this sense of awe. Awe. We shouldn't be in awe of each other. Why? Because we're equals. We shouldn't be we shouldn't be in awe of someone because they hold a position or a title. We shouldn't be in awe of the president. We shouldn't be in awe of a performer. We shouldn't be in awe of a leader or someone that has a position or a talent or a gift that maybe we don't. We should not be in awe of that. We should not worship that. And we see that happening. We see that happening in our world. And it can only happen because we don't know who we are. And so when we don't know who we are in awe of a lot of stuff. We worship a lot of things. But notice what it says here. You are a perfect creation. This is right here on page 7 in the blue book of A Course in Miracles. On the heels of saying we should only be in awe of revelation. We should only be in awe of our creator. We should only be in awe of reality. On the heels of that, it says, you are a perfect creation. Talking about you. With no exception. You, and especially you, with no exception. All humanity. All humanity throughout all of history. This statement is a statement of your true identity. You are, here it says, you are a perfect creation and should experience awe only in the presence of the creator of perfection. Listen, this is This is the truth that is true always. This is the thing that we are seeking for. This is the solution to all of man's problems, perceived problems. Because in reality, there are no problems. The lack of awareness. There's a belief in separation, but there's not a problem. But there is a solution that has already been given. That when we embrace it, when we embrace our true identity, it is the solution that will solve all problems. Because when you know who you are as the perfect creation of love, when you know who you are as God's perfect creation in the presence of your Creator, in the presence of perfection, that word perfection has to do with our completion, our wholeness, our innocence, our timelessness, our eternal state of being changeless and unalterable. That we remain as God created us. We remain as love created us, as the perfect creation. When we embrace that, we have embraced the abundant life. We have become face to face. We have come face to face with our true self, our true identity. And where there is an awareness of our true identity, there is no condemnation. There is no judgment. There is no fear. There is no projection. There is no hatred. There is no lack. There is no separation. There is no fear. It says, you are a perfect creation. I'm going to stay on this message. This is my message for 2025. This is my message. This is my thing. That we are the perfect creation of love. You are the perfect creation of love. Every time I hit this button in 2025, that is going to be the basis for which I share. Because I'm totally convinced. When we come to the awakening of the knowing of ourselves as the perfect creation of love, which means that we are one, that we share this one being, not only with each other, but with our Creator. It is the one and the same. It's not two different things. There is no duality in our reality, but there's only one. That what God is, so are we in this world. As God is, so are we. As love is, so are you. This is your true self. This is the self that you've been looking for. This is the real you that loves you. This is the real you that is love. And until we fully accept this, the Course calls it the Atonement Principle. Until we fully accept the atonement for ourselves, we will vacillate back and forth. We will have ups and downs, ins and outs. We will be driven by our outer circumstances versus by the knowledge of the self. And we'll be looking for love. We'll be looking for joy. We'll be looking for peace in all the places that is not. We'll be looking for wealth and prosperity. We'll be looking for purpose and understanding in places that is not. It's not out there. But the memory of reality is in your own mind. And I am here to help awaken that. I am here just to be a temporary awakener to the reality of who you are. I'm here to only be a pointer. to point you within, to where your internal teacher, your to uh to the stately calm that is within inside of you. It's not out there. And so you are the perfect creation and should experience awe only in the presence of the creator of perfection. And so, what is the miracle that the Course talks about? What is the Course in Miracles? The Course in Miracles says this is what the Course in Miracle is all about. It is, therefore, the miracle that the Course talks about. I'm going to clear my throat because I want to make sure I communicate this. This is so important. The whole purpose of A Course in Miracles is to be a correction. It's to be a correction to the error that we all made simultaneously and collectively. Because in reality, there's only one of us. So when Adam made, and this is just symbolic. The story of Adam and Eve is just symbolic, a metaphoric to what occurred, what seemed to have occurred in eternity past. The book just adds a face and a scenario to it so we can understand it at a natural level, at a parable level, where we can understand it, at least naturally, so that with that natural understanding that we can have a spiritual awakening to what really is going on here. It's not about Adam and Eve in the garden and the serpent and Cain and Abel and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Jesus and then you. All of that is temporary. All of that is just a story. But what the lesson that we are here to learn, the enlightenment, the awakening that we're here to experience, and all of us will eventually, according to reality, you will, because you can't change it, so you must experience it. So what's really at stake here, the lesson here, is to know ourselves. Is the reality that nothing has really occurred. That love remained as it always was. That you remain as you always were. And not you as an individual self, but you as a shared being with love itself. You as a shared being with reality. You as a shared being with God. And that you should not be in awe of your brother and sister. You should not be awe at any other human being, including Jesus. That you should not be in awe of anything that we have made. That it is only reserved for revelation. It's only reserved for the knowing of the truth. And so he says here that the miracle is the correction. That's why he named this book A Course in Miracles. And see, a lot of us take the idea of miracles and we're thinking, some healing or supernatural. That's not what this is about. The miracle is the correction. It is to correct humanity's thinking, to correct humanity's belief in separation, to correct humanity's miscreation and misappropriation of his true identity. The miracle is the reintroduction of yourself to your true self, the real you. It is discovering yourself. It's discovering who you are. Paul said it this way, that I may know him. He's talking about himself. Because to know love is to know yourself, because you and love are the same. To know God is to know yourself, because you and God are the same. To know your brother is to know yourself, because you and your brother are the same. Notice what it says here. It says the miracle, therefore, is a sign of love among equals. When we realize that we have equality with each other, that we have equality with every other being that ever graced this planet, including Jesus of Nazareth, as a man, Buddha, and any other enlightened being. We have equality with them, and we should not be at all at them. We shouldn't be worshiping them. I told you I'm going to mess with your theology. But not in a bad way. I'm going to get you to question your theology. No, he says it right here, that we should not be in awe because of our equality with one another. Paul picked it up in Philippians when he said it this way. In Philippians 2, 5 and 6. He said, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ, being in the form of God. When he was a man, he said there that he was in the form of God. You being a man or woman, you are in the form of God. You are the reflection, or you are the revelation, or you are the expression of love in form. I said, well, that's a better way of looking at yourself. You are an expression of love in form. The form is temporary. The love is eternal. So in reality, you are an expression of love. You are the light of love. You are what love is. You are the perfect creation of love. And so it says, the miracle, therefore, is a sign among equals. Equals should not be in awe of one another. You should not be in awe of another man or another person. You shouldn't worship another person. You should not be in awe of another person. Equals should not be in awe of another, because awe implies inequality. When we are in awe of another, it implies that we're not equal with them. When we deny others their rightful equality with us, can you imagine what we're doing to ourselves as well as to the other person? That's why when you look into this world, and you look into our political system, and you look into the business world and this entertainment world, and you look into all the sectors of life, and you see how we are operating and wondering how we're going to ever get out of this mess that we've created. I'm sharing with you the foundation of that. You will never be able to legislate equality in reality. You'll never be able to use our separated ideas and fears and fear-based theology and fear-based politics. You'll never be able to use that to bring about real solutions in the world and to bring real peace in the world. It won't happen. It has never happened. And it will not happen. Not until the identity problem is solved. Not until you got healed healers in leadership. Not until you have accepted the atonement for yourself. Until we have accepted the atonement for ourselves, we're going to be on a journey of projection. We're going to be on a journey of suffering and projection and projecting this belief into our environment. And wonder what in the HELL, what in the hell is going on? Well, it's the hell that we've created here. But fear not, be of good cheer, for behold, you are the perfect creation of love. The solution is right here present. And in the presence of that reality, we are in awe of our creator. We are in awe of our reality. It says, equal should not be in awe of one another because awe implies inequality. It is therefore an inappropriate reaction. Jesus said this. He said, therefore, it's an inappropriate reaction to me. So Jesus himself is saying it's inappropriate for you to be in awe of me. And see, I know a lot of religious people who have made an idol out of that name, right? Even have made an idol out of the person or the personality. You might be hollering, Oliver, what are you talking about? I'm talking about you and me and all humanity finally coming to know who we are, including Jesus of Nazareth. That's what his whole purpose was, to bring us the knowledge and the awareness of the truth. Then he turned around and said, where I am, you are. What you are, I am. I'm in you, you and me, we're one. See, it's right there in the message, but we just deny it because we're afraid to embrace who we really are. We're afraid of ourselves. But I'm here to help remove those blocks, right? So we can embrace ourselves, so we can fully accept the reality of our perfect creation, so we can finally experience love in its fullness. Because where there is love, there is no fear. Where there is love, there is no confusion. There is no upper class, middle class, lower class. There is no division and strife. He said, equal should not be in awe to one another because awe implies inequality. It is therefore inappropriate reaction to me. This is Jesus talking. You should be in awe of me. He says it right here. Because we are equals. I'm a son. I'm a creation of love just like you are. I'm the perfect creation of love just like you. It is therefore an inappropriate reaction to me. An elder brother is entitled. Yeah, he goes on to qualify this. He said, but an elder brother is entitled, just like in the natural, so in the spirit. He said, but an elder brother, he's the elder brother because he was the first one that awoke to the reality of who he was. That's what makes him the elder brother. But it don't make him a special brother. It makes him the elder. It makes him to be honored. It says here, but an elder brother is entitled to respect. We should not be in awe, but we should respect the accomplishment. He said, but the elder brother is entitled to respect for his greater experience. Just like in the natural, we respect people for that have more experience, but we're not in awe of them. That doesn't make us difference. That doesn't make one lesser or greater. Experience don't make one lesser or greater. It just makes one experience. And that experience should be respected. Only a fool don't respect one's experience or another's experience. We act foolishly when we don't respect the experience that Jesus authored and showed us. We should respect that. And we should expect that experience to be our very own. It's not something that happened just to one person, but it happened to all of us all at once. So if you think Jesus was crucified, so were you. Even the scripture says, I've been crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, not I, but it's Christ that what lives. It's the oneness that we share. It's the one being that we share. It's the equality that we share that lives. And so we don't live in awe. We respect one another. We respect one another. He says, an elder brother is entitled to respect for his greater experience, even in the natural. I respect my older brother, right? I expect his experience. But that doesn't mean that we're not equal. My children, they should respect my experience. But that doesn't make us unequal. We're equal. I'm equal with my kids. They're the perfect creation of love also. From the president to the person in the crack house, they're the perfect creation of love. No exception. We would have to take off our natural proclivities in order to embrace this. And we need to take off our natural proclivities when they are founded in the belief in separation, sin consciousness, guilt, and fear. Fear-based theology. We need to take it off. We need to remove it. He says, an elder brother is entitled to respect for his greater experience and obedience for his greater wisdom. Yes, we should. Yes. We should respect the experience and the greater wisdom. He is also entitled to love because he is a brother, and to devotion if he is devoted. Was Christ devoted? Was Jesus of Nazareth devoted? Yes, he was. So he's entitled to devotion because he was devoted. You should be entitled to devotion because you are devoted. Are you devoted? Are you devoted to the reality of who you are? Or are you devoted to what you have made yourself to be or what you have been conditioned to be? Are you devoted? Are you devoted to your innocence? Or have you been convinced that you are a sinner? By misinformation. What are you devoted to? That you are a sinner? Or are you devoted to the fact that you are innocent? You're whole and you're complete, that you're the perfect creation of love. If you're the perfect creation of love, therefore you can never be a sinner. You can fall asleep and dream of being a sinner, but in reality, you can never be a sinner. And the only solution is to wake up from the dream and embrace and accept the reality of your oneness, of your atonement. That nothing really ever has occurred. That you remain as God created you, as the perfect creation of love. He is entitled to love because he is a brother, and to devotion because he's devoted. It is only my devotion that entitles me to you. This is Jesus talking. It is his devotion that entitles himself to us. There is nothing about me that you cannot attain or have not already attained. This is Jesus talking. There is nothing about me that you have not already attained or cannot attain. He said, I have nothing that does not come from God. Neither do you or I. Because there's only God. There's only oneness. There's only love. He said, the difference between us now is that I have nothing else. In his awakened state, he has nothing else. In our sleeping state, we still are devoted to that which we're not. But I am here to implore you. I am here to remind you of who you are and that you are the perfect creation of love. And you only need to be devoted to that. That you only need to be committed to that. That you only need to embrace the truth that is true always. Therein lies the answer. Therein lies your identification. Therein lies your absolute peace, your absolute joy, your absolute happiness, regardless of what's going on in our world, regardless of what's going on in your relationship or in your job or in your body or in your finances or in what's going on in religion or what's going on in entertainment, what's going on in sports world, what's going on in your neighborhood, regardless of all of that. That's all temporary. That'll be different in 10 minutes. That'll change. But what is changeless? What is timeless? What is formless? What is eternal? What is infinite? Your reality, your true identity, your oneness with all of reality, your oneness with God and love and life. That's what is timeless and changeless and formless. And that's what we're to be devoted to. And I'm going to finish up this by reading. I was sharing out of the course, but I'm going to finish up by sharing out of the scriptures because it says it right here. What I just said is right here in scripture in 1 John chapter 4. 1 John chapter 4. 1 John chapter 4. It says the same thing here. When you read the Bible, you just can't read the Bible. When you read the Bible with the sense of separation and a sense of awe or fear, then you're going to get that from the interpretation. But when you read this Bible now from the place of you are the perfect creation of love, therefore anything that is not love, you just read right over it because you know that's the ego that man put in it. But right here in 1 John chapter 4, verse 16, it says, and we have known and believed the love that God has to us or for us. And then it says God is love. So God is love. Love is God. They're all one. That's why I prefer to use the word love in my messaging, because God has taken on so many negative connotations that it puts up a block for people to learn. When they hear the word God, then they think religiously someone's trying to impose religion on them, and so they put a block up. And I'm here to remove the block, right? So here's the way. Here's a real good block remover. It says it right here. 1 John chapter 4, 14. Chapter 4, verse 16. It says God is love. Is present tense. Or love is God. I mean, they're one. There's no difference. God is love. Love is God. That's why I say you are the perfect creation of love. I could say you're the perfect creation of God, but that would be an offense to some people. And I am trying to remove the fence. I'm trying to lower the guards so that people can awake, so that all humanity can awake to the truth. He says, so it says here, God is love. And he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. So see, that's a principle there, that love and God is one. And he that remaineth in God, love of God, remaineth in God, or love remaineth in God, or God remaineth in love. Verse 17, it says, herein is our love made perfect. There's that word perfect again. Herein is love, or God made perfect. Herein is where God is expressed in his perfection, is another way of putting it. You know, you want to be the expression of love or the expression of God in its perfection. This is how it's sharing you here how it's done. He says, herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment. What is the day of judgment? Now, right in this moment, me talking to you, you talking, you listening. This is the day of judgment, because there's only one day, and it's always now. There's only the present moment. In the presence, there's fullness of joy. In the presence, there's boldness. You can't be bold yesterday. You can't be bold in the future. You can only be bold right now. So it says right here that bold, he says that you may have boldness in the day of judgment. So on this day, in this moment, right now, you and I, this is how we perfect love. This is how we express love. It says, he says, because as he is, as love is, as God is, whoever you think, when you think of the highest expression of creation, as that is, as creation is, he says, as he is, so are we in this world right now. So as love is, so are you. God is love. Love is God. So are you in this world. You can have boldness to express that right now. Don't let your religion, don't let your politics, don't let the history of humanity, don't let your family, don't let anything become a block to you expressing the reality that you are the perfect creation of love. That's what he's saying here. That's what I've been saying all this message. He said, and he goes on to say, because there is no fear. There is no, that means no, none. There is no fear in love. So when we're not experiencing love, where there's a twinge of fear, or a twinge of judgment, or a twinge of guilt or condemnation, where there is any idea of inequality, he says, we have walked out of love, because there is no fear in love. There's no inequality in love. There's none. He said, there is no fear in love, but perfect love. The perfect love. What is perfect love? Knowing who you are, that you're the perfect creation of love. He said, but perfect love casteth out all fear. When you know who you are as the perfect creation of love, you will walk in a fearless state of being. You will walk in your God self. You will walk in your reality, and there will be no fear. There will be no inequality. There will be no judgment or condemnation. There will be no projection. There will only be equality and oneness. There will only be what Jesus called the abundant life. Because as love is, so are you in its full expression in this world. And when we wake up from the dream that Adam dreamed of separation, it is when Adam wakes up. It's when all humanity wakes up. It only takes you waking up to this reality that the whole world wakes up. Because there's only one of us. And that which is in a dreaming state is not reality. When you wake up, God wakes up. When you wakes up, love wakes up. And it casteth out all fear. Because fear has torment. To not accept the reality of your perfect creation of love, it torments you. It has torment. It is the hell that we've made on earth. People that live in mansions, people that live in extravagant manners, and those that live way below human standards. They're both tormented when they don't embrace the idea that they are the perfect creation of love. It has nothing to do with their possessions. It has nothing to do with their lack of possession. That's why they will project. They will seek to project their fears on you through fear-based theology, through fear-based politics, through fear-based business, through fear-based entertainment, through fear-based relationships. In your relationships, one will project fear on the other because they don't know who they are. And it has torment. But it says that he that feareth, it says, he that feareth is not made perfect in love. It didn't say that he's not perfect in love. It said he's not made, or he doesn't experience the perfection that he is. He doesn't have the experience or the wisdom, like Jesus said, where we devote and we honor and we respect those that have the experience of awakening, that has the wisdom of awakening. And I got to put a pin in it right there, because if I go any further, I won't be able to share this like I want to, because there's a limitation on these recordings, right? So I'm going to stop right there, because I want to share this across the globe. And you want me to, right? This is vital information. So 2025, I just share with you I just share with you God's secret sauce, love's secret sauce, how to make 2025 the best year of your entire earthly experience, regardless of what has gone on in the past. It doesn't matter. This simple embracing and accepting the atonement for yourself, that you are the perfect creation of love. That's it. And from that, everything will evolve, because that brings you into the presence where there's fullness of joy and pleasures forevermore. Think about that. Thank you for joining me. If you watching the replay, hit replay, and I'll come back and show you some love. But hey, this is what you can expect from me in 2025. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you. I love you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.